With communist China now seizing what is being called the COVID-19 advantage in the South China Sea as it ramps up military drills and energy exploitation in this contested waterway, all while U.S. military forces remain bogged down in the coronavirus crisis at home, and the fearsome USS Theodore Roosevelt has been taken out of action. This report concludes one seeking to know what President Trump's war strategy is to defeat his globalist socialist enemies need only look at the terrifying 6.6 million jobless claims filed in the United States last week. Join that the 3.2 million filed the week prior, who are nearly 10 million American workers, mainly clustered in Socialist Democrat Party stronghold cities and states no longer these are Democratic Party stronghold cities and states no longer paying taxes, and unlike President Trump and his Federal Reserve Central Bank, are socialist-led cities and states not able to create money to pay their exorbitant and crushing socialist bills, many of whom will face bankruptcy in a matter of weeks. A grim fate also facing all of the socialist-led colleagues and universities in America no longer receiving U.S. tax dollars because they don't have any students. God, they need to exercise a goddamn period in this. So, now with the Federal Reserve, what I'd like to make mention, President Trump and his Federal Reserve. So what I understand, the Federal Reserve, private run-for-profit Federal Reserve 1913 creature from Jekyll Island, criminal Federal Reserve, the $30 trillion debt that people keep referring to as the national debt. It's not a national debt. It's not a national debt. It's not a national debt. It's a federal debt. Federal government is a corporation. That's their debt. He's defaulting on that debt with a corporation that's non-constitutional. Folks, the Federal Reserve is non-constitutional. Folks, the Federal Reserve note is not money. It's a currency. Currencies lose money. Currencies lose value. Monies don't lose value. From what I understand, President Trump currently is morphing and merging the Federal Reserve into and with the U.S. Treasury, where it rightfully should be. He's going to absorb it. Bad actors out. An exodus. And be left with a pristine U.S. Treasury, correct? Backed by what? Precious metals, commodities, and digital currency. As long as it doesn't involve the Amero. What's up with that? North American Union, folks. The Amero, folks. North American Union. The EU was made to fall. The EU was made to crash. I believe in nationalism right now. I believe in cleaning up your own goddamn backyard. I think that's what works. Clean up your backyard. And once you got everything right with the universe and the cosmos and you're living in excellent health and abundance in and of yourself, that's when you go outward. You don't go outward broken. With the seat of your pants dragging out your goddamn tracks, marching around on your pseudo-moral high ground, preaching to everybody like you know what time it is. It's old. So, we know the private run-for-profit criminal Federal Reserve is no longer. What replaces it? Are they going to go for putting a chip in your ass? The Vera chip, the Angel chip. Look into it. 1996. Angel chip. Florida. Canada. Beta testing. All the students are being, all of whom are being ruled over by a President Trump having unlimited wartime powers to reopen the U.S. economy at any time and any way he so chooses. and who surely know President Trump is going to exact his pound of flesh from all of his globalist socialist enemies before this war ends, if not their heads. And that's this report. This report, if not their heads, guillotines, public hangings. The trains with the cars, with the shackles, the guillotines, are not for the citizenry. They're for the evil elements. Oh yeah. The real Trump, Donald Trump, invited me to lunch. This is, what's his fancy pants? Virgin Air, the guy who's competition with Elon Musk, going into space. But Spock, we must save the Enterprise. The real Trump, Donald Trump, invented me to launch at his gold-filled New York launch. Oh, shit. Branson, that's his name. The real Trump, Donald Trump, invited me to lunch at his gold-filled New York apartment. Gold-filled, huh? It was just both of us. During the entire lunch, he only spoke about one thing. Revenge, revenge, revenge. Here's another thing, folks. I don't give a rat's ass how pious you might seem to yourself and how you might have everybody else convinced with your dogma and your pitch. Very few are above revenge. And if you say you are, you need to put out a book. I'm not sure why he invited, but for 2 hours, he told me how he was going to get even and destroy all those that didn't help him when he was completely broke. And this says that this is billionaire Richard Branson wrote on his blog last week. I don't know when the time element is on this. That's suspect. There's something very sinister and dangerous about Trump's obsession with revenge. Okay, well, that's what he says. Anybody can say anything, right? The globalist, socialist enemies of President Donald Trump can never say that they weren't warned about his wrath, only that they didn't listen. I'm not saying people don't have their agendas, and I'm not saying there aren't hidden agendas. Christ, we all know there are. It's all this is comprised of, a web of it. So, again, kids, I'm not a virologist. And with the climate nowadays, things that are taking place, everybody's got their disclaimers. And everybody's got their way of entertaining themselves. If I were a virologist, I would be paying attention to chemical compositions. Chemical compositions of things that are happy. Chemical compositions that have been around for eons. Chemical compositions that help during these times. Chemical compositions that have been mimicked, synthesized, and marketed. So, everybody gets entertained differently, and this is my entertainment. I'm just putting out my own entertainment purposes. If I were a financier and I knew how to invest right now, when I had special effects, and I had to do an ad, I had to do an advertisement, and I had to advertise something for financing, it would be a good move right now. Well, what would I do? Well, I don't know. Who that is? Who that is? So, if I were investing right now, that's something I'd do, is I'd research investing right now. It could be a good opportunity. And for health, again, things that help with viruses and bacterias and testosterone and hormones and night vision and sperm motility and sperm count And all sorts of things. One might look into that. And then another thing that someone might look into is, if someone were into being entertained and wanted to get their mitochondrial regeneration going and entertain that, someone might want to do that as well. I don't know. So, this will be continued later. Hopefully, this is something I do on a daily basis. I've been told to do many more videos. A lot of people have come out of the woodwork and asked that I do so. I'm surprised. But we're all learning in this together, right? So, always remember, if a wet bird flies at night, who has their underwear? Stay asymmetrical. And if you put in a bathroom and you like tile, do a mosaic. And always remember, we're now in the 21st century. See you soon. Hugs and kisses.